All right, for anybody following my work or anybody that's interested, I'm tracking a 3-7 grid throughout all of Abrahamic material. It starts right in Genesis and it gathers up other numbers. Actually, what happens here is that there are 22 numbers that the 3 and the 7 work to gather up. There's a process that happens. You have to seek and knock for righteousness. That means you got to study it and figure it out. There's patterns, there's puzzles in here, and we don't know the Bible well enough. So what I'm going to do is show with the computer here what we can't do with our modern minds because we are reading the Bible. We don't have these stories memorized. But I'm going to show you something in the background that is so common, you're going to go, holy shit, I never knew that was there. 3-7 grid. My name is Dan Paulson. Welcome to the channel. All right, in the Bible in Genesis, here's where it starts. You see where it says here, and on the seventh day God ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all the work that he had made, and God blessed the seventh day. When they're repeating like that, they want you to count it. That's 777, 3 times right there. And where is it on verse 3? This is where the 7-3 grid begins. I'm not going to cover in this video what it goes on to do and how it gathers up those other numbers. There's about 22 numbers that appear over 6,000 times in the Bible. But this is where the 3-7 grid begins. What I'm going to do is go make comparisons to many other Abrahamic documents and show you how this 3-7 is still right here hidden in their material. And I'll tell you, I'm going to be using anything Abrahamic. That means apocryphal material too, or Gnostic material, anything like that. All of it comes from Abraham. It's all about Jesus. It's all about God. All of that is Abrahamic material. I don't care whether the church approves it or not. I don't give a damn what the church tells me is okay. All right, let's go find out what's really there. We're going to seek and knock. We're going to follow Jesus's teachings and not worship him. Let's see what we come up with. All right, the first one I'm going to do is bring up an apocryphal work here called the Letter of Jeremiah. Honestly, if I were to really look at this, what I understand now is that there was a school of teaching that was covering this material, and that if you were in the school, you had to learn what to do. So what I've got here in the Letter of Jeremiah, this one is just really blatantly in your face. Look down here in verse 3. There's a 7 right in there. So when you come to Babylon, you shall remain there many years and for a long season, namely 7 generations. We got a 7 and a 3 right there appearing together, right in the beginning. That is a pattern that is going to continue. This one, however, is in your face because you can read it. You see a 3, you see a 7. This is the 3rd sentence, and it has 7 in it. All right, I'll just jump around. The next example is going to come from the book of Luke. All of these are from the King James Version right here. Okay, so what I do, and I know now to look for this. So I already know I'm going to go to verse 3 and I'm going to go to verse 7 and I'm going to start looking for 3s and 7s. I'm looking for somehow that combination that I am seeing is there. And when I get down here, I'm not going to go through all the process. I've already gone through this. When I get down here to verse 7, and they had no child because Elizabeth was barren, and they both were now well stricken in years. Barren, I already know, is a good thing. That means I am devoid of, empty of. I am poor in spirit, barren. If I put that in here, barren is repeated exactly 3 times. So right here what we have is it's hidden. But on verse 7, barren is repeated 3 times throughout the entire book of Luke. We have our 3-7 grid there, but this one is advanced. This one is advanced, harder to see. All right, another apocryphal work called Susanna. I did this one recently. You know what? These look like college thesis papers or something like that. They're very simple. These ones are easier, like this one here. We get down to verse 7 here, and I'm just going to, again, just jump to it. What I already know, because I've already looked through it, we're on verse 7, and Susanna is the inner self, the husband is the consciousness, the garden is our mind. I'm going to put husband in here. How many times does husband appear in? So right there, we've got there it is, 3, husband, 7-3 grid right there. It is hidden. This is very artfully done. Somebody knows what's there. It's actually simple once you know it, but we don't know it. With us not having it memorized, with us reading it, we're never going to know this. We don't know the Bible well enough. All right, I'm going to jump to Ezekiel, again, the King James Version. We've got our numbers here, the 30, the 4th, the 5th is said 3 times up there, all that's happening. This one is going to get very deep and very thick and very complicated. But we get to verse 7, and what do we see? Feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. Feet is repeated 3 times in the verse 7, but additionally, throughout the entire book of Ezekiel, feet is repeated exactly 17 times, which is one of our numbers collected, which is the amount of times Sarai's name was repeated in Genesis. The grid is here, everywhere. It is just right there. Never, ever is it hidden. We just don't know how to look at it. All right, I'm going to jump to Revelation and prove to every Christian with the degree that you wasted your money. Right here we have, again, King James Version, and if I get down here to verse 3, what I'm going to see is the term blessed. I've looked it up already. It's in verse 3, blessed, 7 times. There we have it. So it looks like it can be a 3, 7, 7, 3. Down here at 7, I've got behold. Behold is what? Behold is 26 times. There I see 22. Kindreds 6. So we've got the 3-7 grid. It looks like it starts. It looks like it could be either from 3 or from 7. You can have 7 with a 3 in it, or you can have 3 with a 7 in it. But you see that it is consistently there. And why? Because it's patterned. It's doing something very specifically that the people who carry it, the people who worship it, do not know what it is. And the people who are against it and say it's bullshit, there's nothing there, they don't know what it is. The militant theists and atheists have no idea what this is. And the reason is they're interpreting it all as they're not interpreting it all. They're just treating it at face value until it doesn't make sense. Then they plug things into it till it makes sense to their head. When really you look at this material and you don't add to it until it makes sense. You study it until you understand what the master's telling you. There is something in here that is so detailed, so tight, so accurate that humans today... All right, Exodus, again, King James Version. We're going to see things in here like if I go to verse 3, there's 3 names in there. So each of these names, 3 is only said 1 time. So I don't know what to make of that. There's something going on with lineages that I'm not fully completely aware of. So we get to verse 5 here, which is a good one. We've got a 70 on there, and the 70 was actually the first number collected in Genesis. And I meant that after the 7-3 grid, that's when the Cain is... Here, I'll just pull up the verse, actually. If Cain shall be avenged sevenfold, truly Lamech, 70 and sevenfold. Those 2 sevens are surrounding that 70. In Exodus here, the Bible is a full-on monotheism. In Genesis, it starts out pretty sloppy. It's not a monotheism yet, as it's being developed from the Enuma Elish, the Babylonian creation myth. In fact, let's take a look at that so it doesn't sound like I'm just sitting here making claims or talking out my rear end. Genesis 1:26, and God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness. That's Babylonian. 6:2, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all that they choose. That's Babylonian. Sons of God came down and screwed the wives of men. Yeah. 11:7, let us go down. This is the Babylonian, the Babel story. Let us go down there and confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. It was not a monotheism until further development. When we get down here to verse 7 here, I'll start looking at it then. And I've already looked at it. Let's go take a look at something and say abundant. We got abundantly right there. So abundant is 3 times in the book of Exodus, and here we have it appearing in 7. So again, they're hiding it. Multiplied, we multiplied. That means we're taking on a lot. We are, the children of Israel are each of our memories with emotion. That's what that is meant to represent. Okay, they're really making these thick. Just stick with me on this. It's a personal pattern, and every one of these, despite the fact that it sounds outward, it's meant to be an inward path. Multiplied, then, is a bad thing. You want to be empty. Yeah, multiply is 8 times. See what's going on? Yeah, there's stuff in here that is puzzles that if you knew what to do with it, with the numbers, and that's how they have to encode it. It's a story. I'm going to tell you a story, and you have to memorize it. And everything that you memorize is everything you need is in that story that you memorize it. So if I repeat something, if I repeat something 3 times, then you know that that's 3. Stuff sounds weird. And I might go on and say I repeat something and then go on and talk for a day or so and then repeat something again and then go on for a day or two and repeat something again. So now that repeat something is spread out all over in a really big, it's large. They're not right together. We don't know the Bible or the stories well enough to know that. Okay, so I'll tell you that I haven't gone through every book. I haven't. There's a lot of work to do. It's so much research. It really takes a lot to do this. Obviously, it's very independent. It is me doing this, seeking. This material is meant to be found. It was made at one point in time, and it was structured in such a way so that people could find it, would find their way out. There is a pathway in here if you have the capacity to grasp it. Most people do not and will not. And it's not because of intelligence. It's more because of fear. We're very fear-based. Religion is a way to circumvent that. You're not going to get people to stop worshiping supernatural. When you go through the material, there's this idea about idol worship, that you don't idol worship, that you only worship God. And when you interpret the material, what you find out is that everybody looking outward to the supernatural, whether it's an idol on your desk or an idol out beyond the outer edges of the universe, you're worshiping something that is external. External. That is idol worship. Everybody that is an Abrahamic worshiping God, you're idol worshiping in the material. God is something that you find in your mind. It's not out there in space. But the material is written in such a way that you don't know that. You have to enter the narrow gate. Everybody carrying the ark but don't see inside, that's it. The material is the ark. What is in here is this pattern, this template, but it's hard to see. And even though I keep showing bits and pieces of it, it's not going to mean anything to anyone unless they go find it on their own. It's something that you have to train your brain to do. And back thousands of years ago, they had all day, they had their entire lives. That was it. You won't put your iPhone down. I won't either. However, they didn't have these. What they had was the stories, and they wouldn't put them down. And people that think that they're simple little things like that, boy, you just can't get into their shoes, can you? What was life like back then? What would your life be like if you're getting up off the stone floor every day, putting on your robes, and maybe your sandals or not, because they wear out so quick and they're hard to get new ones, every day? Go grind bread. Grind meal for making bread or something like that. Life is so different. These stories were huge. We do not understand them. We do not. Okay, so I'm going to end this video though. They get so long, people are not too interested in them. When I go into like bigger analysis, they're going to be like hour-long videos and things like that. But ones like this is just very quick. Bap, 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 bap. Look, take a look. You can go see this on your own. Go read your own Bible, look, count, download it, put it on a computer, take a look. You'll see this. It's there. This is not being made up. It was created and structured. And we've lost that. We've lost it. Yeah. All right. Hope that was fun and interesting. See you in the next video.